Which 3-game stretch will define Mississippi State's season in 2025? To be honest, your guess is as good as mine. Like, really, look at the schedule. Try to find 3 games that you feel confident that they can win, or 3 games that you guarantee they can lose. It's easier to do the latter than the former, but I want to feel like that there is confidence in Starkville in year 2 for Jeff Lebby. I like their running back room. I like some of their wide receivers. I like some of their defensive pieces, but I just don't know what to make of them. So I picked 3 that I thought were the most sophisticated, 1 guaranteed win, 1 potential upset win, and 1 to where if you just look promising, you feel like you're trending in the right direction. Northern Illinois, Tennessee, and Texas A&M. Let's break it all down. Welcome on into SEC Unfiltered. Bulldog Nation, like the video, hit the ring notification, and of course, subscribe to the channel because we talk Mississippi State football and college football every single day. Down the podcast version of the show, wherever you get your podcast listening systems. Follow us on the socials, link in the description, and check out all of our great work found at secunfiltered.com. And as always, we're proudly fueled by our friends over at FANDUEL. Go visit FANDUEL.com/SECU. Join today and get started with $250 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. So make me and most of America feel stupid by taking the win total for Mississippi State, and then when they hit the over, you go ahead and cash on in with $250 in bonus bets at FanDuel.com/SECU. So again, Mississippi State, this is one of those years where I'm just wait and see mode with them. Is Lebby the right guy? Did they bring in the right pieces in the portal? What's their recruiting look like? But I feel like that they have to at least get 1 upset win. They won't go 0-8 in conference play this year. And so, yes, I could have picked Arkansas, and certainly I could have picked a Mizzou team. I could have maybe gone after even a Florida for that instance, or an Ole Miss in the Egg Bowl. I don't know. I felt like that these 3 were the most important because 1 is a guaranteed win. Let's start off with that one. Northern Illinois. If you lose to Northern Illinois in your backyard, let me phrase that again, in your backyard, like you did last season to Toledo, another MAC school, you have to have a serious conversation if Jeff Lebby is the right guy. I'm sorry, you do. I know that we can talk about the Southern Miss game. I know we can talk about the Arizona State game, non-conference battles, but it's not going to shock me if going into the 4th quarter, we're watching as the Eagles make this a fight. Because you have Charles Huff on the sideline, and most of that team is coming on over from the Sun Belt champion Marshall Thundering Herd. And maybe Marshall last year was good enough to give at least a fight to Mississippi State. So now, just switch the logo, change up the color scheme. Guess what? That might end up being a good enough game. Northern Illinois has lost a ton. Northern Illinois has lost multiple players on its offensive line, multiple defensive starters, several wide receivers went off to the transfer portal. This is not the same team that went into South Bend, Indiana, week 2 last year and caused the upset that literally set college football ablaze. It's not. And in my opinion, it's gotten worse in so many different facets. And also, Mississippi State has gotten better. They added in one of the wide receivers from that NIU team in Cam Thompson. They also have a good rushing attack. I'm very excited to see what Fluff Bothball is going to do. I'm excited to see what we're going to get out of Davin Booth. I'm excited to see what we're going to get out of Blake Shapen fully healthy. And so this is one of those games where you really got to imagine, even when you're a bottom dweller or a team that has no belief from the outside perspective, you still paid for a program to come into your house to signal a win for you and serve as a tune-up matchup. That's what this game has to be. I want to see Blake Shapen throw him for 300 yards. I want to know that Brennan Thompson is the wide receiver number 1. I want to know that your offensive line is doing everything possible to constantly keep the ball moving on the ground. And I want to see defensive plays. Isaac Smith, I think, could be an All-American this year. He certainly is going to be an All-SEC defensive back, in my opinion. But I want to know that there's more than just him. That I'm not trusting my safety to have to get 172 tackles for our season to be called even remotely a success. This is one of those games that you can do it. It's absolutely one of those games. And it's one that is a necessity to do it. You can't be sitting by idly and going, well, we at least won by 7 points and that was good enough for us. No, it should never be good enough for any team in the SEC to be close to a MACtion school. Ever. That's like literally saying you're content with being in 8th place and getting a participation trophy. Nobody is accepting that type of culture in the SEC, especially not a place like Mississippi State, to when we see it at its peak, it's good enough to be in the college football playoff hunt. Did it underneath Mike Leach, did it underneath Dan Mullen all the time. We're not seeing that type of outlook at all. Game number 2, Tennessee. Now, again, the reason why Tennessee is on this list is we have no idea what the balls are going to be this year. We don't. I may be overselling them. Some people may be underselling them. But this does feel like a game where, hey, Joey Aguilar, Starkville, Mississippi, on a Saturday afternoon, going into the evening sky, known for having some turnovers. Maybe Mississippi State can pull the wool over their eyes. This is the upset that I was talking about. Because again, I don't know what to make of Tennessee. I want to believe that their offensive line is improved. I want to believe that their wide receiver room is going to have that X factor guy. I want to believe that their defense isn't going to miss a beat with all the pieces lost underneath Tim Banks because they went to the NFL and were properly developed. I want to believe all of that, but I got to see it. And we're going to get a good gauge on where Tennessee is when they face off against Georgia. And if it's a beat down by the other Bulldogs, this could at least be a close call. This could at least be a solid game. And maybe you watch as Blake Shapen builds that rapport with wide receiver number 2, like Anthony Evans. And now we're talking about a 150-yard game. And who knows what this secondary is going to be for Tennessee. At times, it's been hit and miss in the Josh Heupel era. One of the biggest areas of weakness for this team in years past has been their inability to find great defensive backs. And Jamal McCoy is coming off of a serious injury, and we don't know everything about Boo Carter. We think that he's going to be on the roster, but we also don't know who their number 2 cornerback is. So in a game to where the cowbells could be crying out into the night sky, where you could have all of the momentum, you have a veteran quarterback that is accustomed to playing in a Jeff Levy system, you have some wide receivers that could win their one-on-one battles, and you have a run game that's going up against a depleted defensive line. Still a good defensive line for Tennessee, but nowhere near the same level of what it was last season. This could end up being a 17-10 victory, but you'll take it. It's your first win in conference play potentially. Because honestly, this is the first game that you would have in conference at this point of the year. And maybe this is the spark plug necessarily needed to get you over the hump to pull off another upset. Whether it be in a week, whether it be at Florida, whether it be on the road against Arkansas, but you could do those things if you just get this win. Or at least make this a battle. And your defense shows on up, and it gets that one major interception in the fourth quarter against Joey Aguilar, and we're watching as Mississippi State kind of gets a little bit to pat themselves on the back and go, hey, dude, we hired the right guy. It just wasn't the right roster. So again, to me, this could be the upset game of week 6. This could be the game that we're talking about in such a prominent light for the future of Mississippi State. And then you got to go play on the road against Texas A&M. Well, I'm going to spoil this. I don't think Mississippi State will beat Texas A&M. I don't. I genuinely don't. But that doesn't mean that they can't give fits to the Aggies. And that doesn't mean that they can't show the rest of the country, when we come to your house, better have a good game plan. That's what I'm talking about with this game. I know that you can pick some other ones, like maybe you can go say Alcorn State, that's a guaranteed win, but we know it's supposed to be a guaranteed win. Or you can talk about, I don't know, maybe the Arkansas game. Well, if you look terrible on the road in Kyle Field and you look terrible on the road in the Swamp, you're not going to look that much better by going to Farote or going to Razorback Stadium. It's not going to happen that way. So first real road test for the Bulldogs. Do you have somebody that can cover a former Bulldog wide receiver, Mario Craver? Do you have somebody who can take on over inside the flats? Do you have a wide receiver that can win his one-on-one battles and constantly keep the ball moving? Because I know that this running game is going to be potent. For my money, I think Mississippi State's going to have a top 10 rushing attack. A top 5 rushing attack in the SEC. Can Blake Shapen get more than that? Because this is the thing. You look at Shapen, he may be the key to this being a game that goes well to the fourth quarter. Defensively, you're going to have to stop Marcel Reed. You're going to have to stop the air pass. But if you can do that, maybe you can force a turnover or two and you get the ball back in positive territory. That's when your offense has to strike. Regardless, I'm not expecting a win in this game at all for Mississippi State. What I am expecting is, can you come out and not look dreadful after 2 drives and it'd be 14-0, and then everybody looks at Coleman Hutzler and they say, well, we'll pack it on in. We weren't going to win this game, and we had morale at an all-time high last week. Let's go prepare for Florida. I want to know, going into the fourth quarter, going into the final drive, there still is life. If we just do this, if we just do that, maybe we have a shot. Because if you do that with this Mississippi State team, whether it be against Texas A&M or against Florida or Texas, it still is you showing that you have enough spark and so much of an identity change from last season that things are trending in the right direction. Again, Not every record tells you what a program truly is because it has to be based off of your way too early expectations. For me, it's Mississippi State being competitive in every single game. And if all things go according to plan, maybe heading into the Egg Bowl with a shot of being bowl eligible. Like, that's my expectations at the ceiling version for Mississippi State. For some, they're saying like 8-4. I'm saying 6-6. You call that a damn good year. You look competitive. You look like this roster in a year from now can actually hold its own against the Aggies or the Gators or whoever will be the new teams like LSU and Alabama, making it to where things are looking up. That's a win in itself. I think that these three games, when you face off against Texas A&M on the road, when you face off against Tennessee at home, and when you face off against Northern Illinois, you can at least win two. I'm not saying you will win two, but you can at least win two. Let me know in the comment section down below, what are the three most important game stretch for the Bulldogs in 2025 in your opinion? Like, review, hit subscribe. Make sure you're following us on all social channels, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at SEC Unfiltered. Follow me at Mr. Cole Thompson. I'll check out all of our great work found at SECUnfiltered.com. Until next time, folks, I am Cole Thompson. Just remember, Bulldog Nation, you'll be fine at the end of the year. Probably. You know what? I don't know why I said that. I genuinely don't know. Peace.